So as you all know, this webinar is about how to get started in Coviu. My name is Peter Simpson-Young, and I'll send a follow-up email that will have my contact details, so you can reach out to me if you need to. Now, a bit of housekeeping before we get started. You've probably found the little chat function. G'day, Mike. G'day, Lee. Thanks for joining us. Now, what we're going to do we'll have like an hour of chatting today. We'll do the last 15 minutes of Q&A. Now, Webinar Jam which is where we're meeting today, has this great feature to indicate that it's a question, which will just make it easier for me to find at the end. Now, to indicate it's a question, you just click on this little button, this little speech bubble button right next to the chat mode. If you click on that, then you'll have a nice little red dot next to your comment, which will just indicate it's a question. So feel free to do that if you have any questions. I might answer them as we go, but if I'm going to address it, then I might answer at the end. Now, the next bit of housekeeping is connectivity. So right now, I'm connected to my NBN, which is congested, even though it's good quality. So if I'm lagging, if I am like frozen, if the sound's not good, let me know. Just tell me straight away so that I can just play around with my internet. I'll jump onto my mobile hotspot. And the third bit of housekeeping is I'd love a volunteer when I'm doing the demo. So if you've got your webcam set up and you've got decent internet, and you don't mind being in front of a whole bunch of people, it would be fantastic if you could be my volunteer. I'll explain all that as we go. So the agenda for today, I'm just going to provide a bit of an introduction about Coviu and myself, and give like a high-level overview of how to get started, chat about where to find support, probably do a bit of a demo, and then we'll finish with a Q&A. So as you know, Coviu is a telehealth service. It's Australia's leading telehealth service. So we've enabled about 50,000 healthcare professionals to deliver about 500,000 video consultations all in Australia. Coviu was also the technology behind a lot of other telehealth services in Australia. So, for example, Health Direct, which is the government-funded telehealth service for public healthcare, that's all built using Coviu. So, if you're ever in a public hospital and wondering why their service looks like Coviu, it's because they've got a sort of a white-labeled service there. Coviu was founded back within CSIRO as a research project by a brilliant computer scientist named Dr. Sylvia Pfeiffer. Sylvia, I've known Sylvia for 20 years. She's absolutely brilliant, and she was, worked at Google, where she founded her first startup, where sort of years before YouTube was around, that was doing video streaming over the internet, and then she quite literally wrote a lot of the standards that go behind HTML5, which is the way video is sent online, as well as WebRTC, which is the way to do that very securely. So Sylvia's very well respected in the space. And I started using Coviu back when it was a project at CSIRO about 4 years ago. I originally studied psychology and neuroscience at Sydney Uni, but I was obsessed with brain tech. So I then did a master's in health technology innovation. And I started using Coviu then as a simple way of just doing video calling, really with great encryption. But I've been joining the team about a month ago when it was all going really well. It started sort of taking off, and the project that I was working on sort of went to a bit of a halt, and because investors don't like investing right now, except for telehealth, I imagine. So what's the difference between telehealth and teleconferencing? There's a lot of teleconferencing solutions out there, Zoom, Google, Teams, Skype, and whatnot. And they're slightly distinct from Coviu. So the key difference is about encryption. So to be compliant with a telehealth product, you need to have what's called end-to-end encryption, which means that only the communicating users can ever see that data. So the risk you have with Zoom, and this is all over the news at the moment, is that Zoom can access that data. There's always this small risk that someone is able to intercept the data like the NSA or whatever, which means that your patient data is not secure. The second key thing is about workflow. So delivering care is complex. You have clinicians, you have admin staff, you have patients, and they all have different needs. Similarly, Coviu has built into it a whole bunch of clinical tools for the clinicians, software integrations for the administrators, and then a whole bunch of, it's been designed to be simple and secure too for the patients, because not all patients are tech savvy. So just a quick overview of how to get started. So the first thing you do is you create an account for your practice. Choose a plan. If you don't know which plan to choose, just click a starter plan. But I'll go through those plans in a moment. You then create an account for your practice. If you're a solo practitioner, you just create a name, and then you start your free trial. So the free trial is a week with the starter plan. With the professional clinic plans, which I'll discuss later, it's 2 weeks. If you ever need to extend the plan, just reach out to us and we can do that. So what I'm going to cover today is everything that's in the starter plan. So it gives you the video conferencing, file sharing, online payments, and all the rest of it. This is the starter plan that costs $20 per user per month. So if there's 2 users or 3 people in your practice, it would be $40 or $60. And this provides you with an unlimited number of consultations. Now, I'm also going to, at the end of this webinar, send you through an email with discount codes. So we've currently got 10% off for 3 months. And it's worth noting that a bunch of the industry bodies like APA, APS, ACMP are offering more substantial discounts to their members using for Coviu. So that's great. They would have sent you through an email. And if you can't find that, just reach out to us. We've also got a professional plan, which is designed the starter plan is designed for sort of solo practitioners and small clinics that just want their essentials. Professional plan is when you start having a larger practice where you might have administrative staff, start needing to worry about how do you do online bookings, scheduling, integrations with practice management software, and there's also a clinic plan which is designed for larger clinics where you're going to need a large waiting area with the ability to triage patients or clients. So all you do next, once you've set up your account, is you invite your clients. So the way you invite clients in Coviu is super simple. You just send them a link, which I'll show you how to do soon. They don't need to download anything or sign in or create an account. So Coviu runs on any device, computer, tablet, phone. It works on any browser. So we work on Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and the latest version of Microsoft Edge. Now, we do recommend using Chrome. It is by far the most stable for using WebRTC, which is the technology behind Coviu. And yes, that's great. Now, of course, we have a whole bunch of features to help you manage your appointments. This includes sort of online bookings, scheduling, and PMS integrations. And I'm not going to discuss these today, but you can register for that webinar, which I'll link to in the follow-up email. So those practice management system software integrations are with Galaxy, Clinico, and Nucal. One of those common questions is, do we integrate with Front Desk or Best Practice? And unfortunately, we don't, but feel free to pressure on them for us. And we're pretty excited about these 2 new features coming out next week. One is the ability to bill Medicare directly from within Coviu, which I think is pretty nuts. And the other is the ability to write a script within Coviu and then send it off for the online, to upload that so that the patient is then can receive the medication in the mail as there's an e-script. So I think those 2 things will be really exciting. So before I jump to the demo, I just want to discuss where to find help. So the best place to find help is on our FAQ page. So that looks like this. We've got about 100 articles, got them laid out here according to what is most helpful areas. But if you just have any questions, sort of search up the top here. Pop in your question, and then all of the relevant articles will come up. If anything is not up to date there or whatever, just let us know, and we will help you. But we keep this very up to date. So we also have a live chat where we are available pretty much 24/7. So that's available throughout. Ooh, I'll hide my. Sorry, I'll just move my face. So bigger too. So see this live chat button on the bottom right-hand corner of our website. If you click on that, you're able to chat with us there. Now you can wait up to 20 minutes when it's really busy, but I think on average it gets to you pretty quickly. You can also find us through this help button within Coviu. So if you click on that when you're in Coviu, then you'll be able to chat to us there. So we've also got a phone number, which at the moment is going to a voicemail, but you can contact us on 02 8005 2884, and a support email, support@coviu.com. Now, support email is pretty backlogged at the moment, so it's advisable to jump onto our live chat, which is much more efficient. And we're available on the live chat from like 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. So before we jump into the demo, I just want to provide a really high-level overview of Coviu. And the key thing is that there are only 2 pages you're going to use within Coviu. One is the dashboard, and the dashboard is where you're going to be able to do the administrative tasks within Coviu. So send out invitations, invite your colleagues to your room, to your account, enter your rooms. This page is where you arrive when you first sign in, but I also recommend bookmarking that page so it's easy to find in the future. The second page you're going to use is your user room. Your user room is where you actually conduct the telehealth consultation. Now, user rooms are a bit different to other telehealth, like other video calling things, in the sense that a user room is sort of analogous to your office, like your physical office. In a physical practice, you're going to have one office, and your client is always going to be able to find you in that office. So you can go back, they've got this one place, and similarly you have one user room in your Coviu account. Now, your clients can access your user room via your link. So you have one link associated with your room, and you share it with your clients. So you can email it to them, you can message it to them, or whatever. So you can sort of think of that email like the phone number to your physical office. So as long as your client has your phone number, they can call you. Similarly, as long as your clients have your room link, they can find you. Now, the exception to that is when you're doing the sort of booking and scheduling features in the professional plan, where you get like unique room links, and that's helpful for billing. But when you're getting started, your room link is going to be your best friend. So I'm just going to show you guys what that all looks like now. So I'm just going to log into Coviu, and I might just quickly point out, you can see here, if you haven't signed up yet, which I imagine most of you have, you can just click try for free. Also register for a webinar. If you don't receive the email, which you will, you can also register for the next webinar about how to, it's called Managing Your Appointments. But for my sake, I'm going to sign in here in the top right-hand corner. So I'm putting my details here. Cool. You guys won't have all of these different accounts. I've just got many because it's my account. So this is the dashboard that I was mentioning earlier. Now, I want to focus on the things in the middle of the dashboard for now. So I'm just going to hide my account settings by clicking this little toggle menu up here. Okay, so there's two ways of sending an invitation within Coviu. The first way is this big button here on the left that says send invitation. And this allows you to email a client your link with instructions to join the call from within Coviu. So for example, if I was going to email myself here at coviu.com, and I'm going to title this email Telehealth Consultation. The message of this email, I'm going to say, please join me. Now, before I click send, it's asking me, should this invitation be sent at a particular time? Now, right now I'm going to say no, but you might want to schedule that email to be sent in the future, like next week, for example. So if you wanted the email to be at the top of their list of their inbox, you might send it like a day prior to the message, or you might send one for now and then another one, like a reminder email. Now, keep in mind that this isn't scheduling an appointment, right? You're getting the same email either way. It's just impacting when they receive your email invitation. So I'm going to click send. Now, the other way you can send an invite is just to copy that link and paste it however you normally communicate with your clients, right? You could paste that in your emails to them, like through Gmail. You can paste it in your into a text message on your phone if you've got that link on your phone. You can't send a message, like SMSs from within Coviu, but you can obviously just paste that into a normal one. You can put it within a calendar invite, which is quite helpful. You can even embed it into your email signature, like any way that you would normally communicate with your client. You can copy the link and paste it that way. I mean, you could tattoo it to your forehead. So what I'd love to do is I'm going to paste this link into the Webinar Jam conversation so that hopefully someone would be willing to pretend to be my client for the next little while. So if anyone just wants to click on that link that's now in the chat, you're then able to join me there. For anyone that's particularly geeky, I'm just going to quickly point out one other way that you can share clients. But now if I click on share down the bottom here, I've actually got the ability to launch using a button. So I can create this button and embed that button into my my website or whatever. In fact, I can also embed the entire room inside a website. So if you wanted to have, if you had a website and you wanted clients to be able to meet you directly on your website, you can copy and paste this text into your website builder. If you've got someone managing your website, you can just send them the text. If you've got your own one, you can just copy and paste this in. It's quite simple. But that's a bit more of an advanced feature. So I'm hoping someone is going to be joining me. So I'm going to click enter room here. Now, in the professional plan, you can actually change this image. You can change all of the branding and whatnot. But in the starter plan, you're stuck with it. So the way you identify who is in the call and when you've got people are waiting for you is up in the top right-hand corner is a call manager. So you can see here this I can open and close my call manager by clicking on that. There's three little people, and right now I've got Sarah, Winter, and Karen waiting to join. Now, so I've got a couple of options. I can accept, deny that caller. I can join them in a new call, and I can mute them. So I'm just going to, I'll show you that. So I can deny one person and accept. Thank you so much, Sarah, by the way, for participating. And I can accept them. So I'm going to accept Karen into the call. And You'll see Karen here. Hi, Karen. Thanks for joining us. Now, I'm going to mute my audio and mute your speaker. The reason is because there's a 5-second delay between Webinar Jam and Coviu, which means if you're hearing me twice, then it would be just a bit confusing. So, but yeah, you'll get the hang of it. So you can see in the call manager now, I've now got undercurrent participants is myself and Karen. Now I've got the option here to transfer Karen into a different room. So I can transfer her into my colleague's room, or I can transfer her into my reception. And I'll show you what I mean by reception a bit later. And of course, I can disconnect Karen from the call. But for now, I'm going to minimize my call manager so I can focus on the screen with Karen. So one of the first things I like to do when I'm in a call with a client is I hide my screen. I hide my video feed because it means it's easier to engage with the client, and you can always tell when someone's like a bit distracted by their own video. If you're a psychologist and you want your client to be as least self-conscious as possible, then making sure they can't see themselves, I think, will improve that experience. So the way to minimize your video feed is using the 2 little arrows on the top right-hand corner of your video. So if you see these 2 little arrows here, it says hide local video, and I'm just going to click on that. I'll show you how to bring that up a bit later, but for now, I'm just going to point out some of the things about Karen's video. So you can see at the bottom left-hand corner, you can see Karen's name there, and that's really helpful if you're like me and you're really terrible with names. But on the bottom right-hand corner of her video feed is this little connectivity indicator, and this is going to be your best friend in Coviu. So you can see right now it's yellow, and it says connectivity is average. If it was green, that would mean the connectivity is good, and red is connectivity is bad. So it's like a traffic light system. If you hover over that, it will tell you precisely what the connection is like. And if you're feeling particularly geeky, you can even click on it and it will tell you specifically what their connection is. So you can see here it's alternating between poor and good. And so this is really helpful when you're trying to troubleshoot why a client is looking crappy, or if the client is dropping out a lot and it's red, then the cause is their internet. So actually, whilst I've got your attention on the bottom of the screen, I'll just point out that this is where the little chat help bar is. So if you click on that, you can contact Coviu support by clicking on that. So I now want to point out some of the tools within Coviu. So you've already seen the call manager tool right at the top there, but next to the call manager is the chat bar. Is the chat function. So I'm just going to click on this speech bubble here. And this allows you to chat with the client. So, hello, Karen. Now, this is particularly helpful when there's audio is not working. So, the clients unable to hear you. Maybe they've turned their speaker off, or they've left their Bluetooth headphones on, or something like that. You can help them troubleshoot by saying, "Turn on your speaker," etc. It's also particularly helpful by sending someone when you want to send someone a link, you can do that through there. So that's the chat tool. Now, all the other tools we're going to use within Coviu are accessible through this tools button in the top right-hand corner as well. So I'm just going to hide my chat and open my tools bar. And you'll see that with the starter plan, you get these 5 tools. There's a whole bunch of other tools that you can add on. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. I'll show you how to do that later. But now I'm just going to show you the starting 5. So I think the simplest tool I'll point out is how to request a payment. So the bottom here of the available tools list is request a payment. So this allows you to take a payment from a client. So I might specify this is $80 and then click request payment. Now, Karen's then going to receive a form in front of her, which is saying, asking her to put in her credit card details. Now, we use an integration with a company called Stripe, which is the gold standard way of taking payments online. And then you would, I can point out where to set that up. It's about a 4% transaction fee. It's worth noting there. Now, there are ways of taking payment before a session in the professional and clinic plan, but within the starter plan, taking payments within the call is really the only way. The next tool I want to point out, clicking on Tools up here, is how to add a whiteboard. So before I show you the whiteboard, I just want to point out that you've got this new button that's popped up next to the Tools button, which is the Active Tools button. And that has these 3 pages. Now, if I click on the Active Tools bar, which actually opens automatically, it just shows you all the tools that you have opened up in your session. So as you add more and more tools, you're able to alternate between them. I'm currently got my sort of payments request open, and then I'm going to go up to my whiteboard. So a whiteboard allows you to collaborate with your client. And in fact, Coviu stands for collaborative viewing. The COVID relationship is quite a coincidence. And so you can see at the top of my whiteboard here is my annotations bar. Now the annotations bar has all of these different buttons you can use to draw or write on this whiteboard. And Karen, feel free to play around with this as well to help demonstrate it from when the client's doing it. Yeah, so you can see Karen's cursor here. So as Karen moves that around, you can see that. You can click on this, a pencil, and draw. So let's say you had a pediatric patient that was bored, or you were trying to communicate some complex thing. You've got the ability to write, and then so let's say you wanted them to remember something specific, and of course all the changes that they make appear where you're there. So you can download all these things that we work on together with the last tool on the annotations bar, which is called the Downloads button, of course. And you click Downloads, and it lets you save that page with annotations. Now that annotations bar is going to be really helpful. I'm going to point out it in a few other cases. So the next tool I want to point out is how to share an image or a PDF. So sharing an image or PDF allows you to open up, obviously, an image or a PDF and annotate it as well. So, for example, I might bring up my display photo here, and then we can deface this together. You can then download that at the end and work on it later or whatever. Now, this upload image or PDF, or sorry, share an image or PDF is particularly helpful if you have a specific form that you have been using that you want a client to complete. So, for example, I'm going to upload this depression and anxiety stress scale that I downloaded from the Black Dog Institute website, and then we can complete this together. So to complete this, I might use this sticker feature in the annotations bar, and then I might choose a little cross, and then we can answer these questions together, and I might score that afterwards. And of course, we can download this at the end by clicking the Downloads button, and if this was a multi-page PDF, you could flip through there. The other thing that this is helpful for is, let's say you had a PowerPoint presentation you like to show clients. So if you wanted to download that presentation as a PDF and then upload it this way, you could go through page by page with the client, and then they can even annotate on top of that, PDF presentation. So there's also the ability just to share files normally. So if you click on Add Tools and Share a File, then this just allows you to share a file, like any sort of file, like you would normally. So I might open the Excel spreadsheet that had the chat log from my first webinar. So then Karen will just receive a little document to download that, like a little button to download that, and then that will just appear in a downloads folder. So the other tool I haven't mentioned now is how to start a screen share. Now I'm just going to go over this really quickly, just because for some people it might be a bit confusing, but so if it goes over your head, that's totally fine, but for others it might be helpful. So there's 3 ways you can share a screen in Coviu, just like any other application. You can share your entire screen, which means that everything that is on that screen, the client will see. So you can see here I've got 2 screens. One is my laptop, and the other is this second monitor. So I've got my laptop here with Webinar Jam, and my second monitor that has Coviu on it. The other option is to share an application window, which means as long as you've got a program open in the background, you're able to share it that way. So right now I don't have anything open, but if I had like a Word document or something open, I could share that, or a PowerPoint presentation or whatever. So this just means the client's only going to see what is open in that application. The third way you can share a screen is to share a specific tab, which just allows you to look at that tab. Now, I'm not going to do a screen share with show you that right now because I'm already sharing my screen with Webinar Jam, and I feel like I would break the internet. But one thing to note is that when you do that, you've also got the annotations bar. So if you were sharing some physiotherapy software or some anatomy software or something, you were able to annotate over the top of that document, over that video. So that's all the features that come with this. There's a whole bunch of other ones that are interesting. Pearson Clinical have a bunch of clinical assessments coming out next week, I think, which will allow you to do like a WACE assessment and CELF assessments. I don't know if they are, but I think that's really interesting for speech therapists and pediatric patients. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. So, yeah. So I'm going to now stop mentioning these tools, and I want to just chat about some of the settings. Now, the settings can be accessed on the top left-hand corner here. So the first thing I'll point out is this settings button right at the top there, which allows you to change the settings within the call. So the first thing you'll notice is that this is another place where your video can be seen. So I previously hidden my video and mentioned that I'd show you later how to bring it up. So to bring up your video again, you can do that on the bottom right-hand corner here with these 2 arrows again, allowing you to display local video. So I click on that and I am back. But I'm going to hide myself again. And then the other settings all relate to effectively your hardware. So you can select a different camera, microphone, speaker, and change your video quality and change your language. Now, 99% of the time, the default settings work. I was very surprised by that. I thought I'd be spending my entire life fiddling with account settings, but they can be helpful when someone's needing help troubleshooting. So you can direct a client's attention over to the device settings and change it that way. The other time this is really helpful is when you've got like a different camera you might want to use. So right now I'm using this little USB webcam, but maybe I wanted to switch over to this, the webcam on my laptop, in which case you can see my whiteboards behind me. Of course, you can change your microphone, speaker, and your video quality. Now, your own video quality by default is set to adaptive. And what this means is that the video quality is going to set itself according to your internet speed. If you've got really great internet, you're going to have fantastic video. If you've got terrible internet, it's going to be terrible video. Now, that's not going to you're not going to want to change that, right? It's good. But there's a certain instance where that can be helpful, which is when a client has really bad internet and you're struggling to see them. Now, by turning your own video down, you're able to free up more of their bandwidth to upload more video. So you can, so if you think of, they've only got a limited amount of bandwidth, and if they're spending all of their bandwidth to see you, then you're going to be clear, but they're not going to be clear. So making yourself less clear can help make them more clear. The other setting here is, of course, the language settings. So you can be in English, French, German, Chinese, or Estonian. I actually don't know why we still have Estonian, but I suspect we've got like 6 clinical trials using Coviu, and I suspect one of them had Estonian patients or something. So that's the device settings. There's 2 more buttons I haven't covered. So the first button I'll point out is next to settings is this refresh connections. And this is helpful when maybe your client is frozen, or you're frozen, or something's frozen, and you want to just refresh that page. So clicking refresh will just reestablish that call, and then everything's fine. All of the tools and everything that you'd opened previously are fine, but just helpful here. Now, at the end of the call, there's a couple of ways you can hang out. Now, let's say I wanted to kick Karen out of the call, but I wanted to keep working on the documents we had opened. Maybe I hadn't downloaded them or whatnot. So to do that, you recall we go over to the call manager and you click disconnect. That will kick Karen out of my room. But the 2 other ways you can do that is when you click on hang up, you've got 2 options. So one is to leave the call, which means that I'm no longer in the room, but Karen is still there. So maybe I need Karen to complete a payment or complete a form, and she's able to stay in the room and do that. The other option, of course, is just to end the call for both participants. So if I click end call, then I'm going to finish it for both of us. So I'm going to kick you out. I'm going to end the call now, Karen. Thank you so much for joining me. You won't hear it until I've actually after I have done it because of the 5-second delay, but thank you so much for participating. And thanks so much, Sarah, as well for volunteering. So how are we going with time? So I want to quickly show you what that looks like from the patient's perspective. And the way I'm going to do that is just to copy the link and enter into incognito mode, which don't know what it means. Doesn't matter. It just means that I don't get logged in automatically. I'm starting a sort of a fresh version. So the first thing your client's going to see when the first time they use Coviu or join your room is a little pop-up asking to give their to let Coviu access their microphone and camera. So it's critical that they click allow. Once they've allowed that, of course, they don't need to create an account, so it just joins a guest. We have the option here to just sort of take a photo and add their name. Now, this is not compulsory. This is just here so that they can see you. The clinician can sort of see who they are as they come in, but if they don't want their photo taken, they can just move out of the way or cover it with a bit of paper. We're adding the feature to skip the camera soon. So they just click continue. They have to give their informed consent, and then they're here sitting in their call in your waiting room. So this is what we call the call queue is equivalent, just what Karen would have seen earlier on when she was waiting in my call manager. So in here, you've got some nice Frank Sinatra playing, and I can pause that, or I can also, with the button underneath that, select a different playlist. So I can select jazz or blues, pop, country, classical, etc. You can configure that a little bit in your settings menu. But for now, I'm going to exit out of this, and I want to show you some of the account settings. So you may recall that I minimized my account settings earlier using that little burger button in the top left-hand corner. And so here are my settings. So You may notice that there are two types of rooms shown here. There are my user rooms, which you've just seen, and there's a meeting room called a reception. Now, the meeting rooms are identical to your user rooms. They're exactly the same. We just set those up so that you have another room or another link that you can give to clients which isn't associated with your user room. So let's say you were in a practice that had a receptionist or multiple receptionists, and you wanted them to first take a client and then get them to complete a form or take a payment, and then you wanted to transfer them into another room. So I could jump into this reception, just like I did my own room originally, and then take a payment and transfer them into the to the clinician. So it's exactly the same, but it's just helpful to have another room that's not associated, which isn't just your user room. So one of the first things you might want to do when you start your free trial is invite your team members. So to do that, you can just click on this button here underneath user rooms, which says invite a team member. You just add their email address. I invite my colleague Sarah, and then I've got the ability to change his role. So there are only two roles. Team members can do the telehealth, and then administrators can do the telehealth, but they can also configure all the account settings. Now, I might want to make Jara an administrator and send him an invite. Then you just get instructions in his emails how to create an account and then become part of your practice. So there are two settings two sort of menus for settings that you can access here in the account menu. One is the billing and plan menu. If I click on that, I've got these 5 tabs: account summary tab, payment method tab, invoices tab, billing details tab, and referrals. Now, these aren't interesting enough to go through now, but I will point out 2 of these tabs which are helpful. So the account summary tab, what's great here is the ability to change your plan. So you can click on change plan and upgrade or downgrade, and you can cancel your account. Now you can't change your plan during the free trial, but just jump onto our live chat and we'll change your plan for you. The other tab I want to point out now is your payment method tab, because this is where you can add your credit card details to start the full account. But more importantly, this is where you add the discount code. You see this big add discount code button, click on that, and you can add the discount codes that I will send you at the end of my follow-up email. Now, the other settings menu that is helpful is this configure menu. I'm going to click on that now, and this is where you can configure your account. So you can change your account name here and your domain name. You can configure who your team members are. So in this account, it's just me, but I've obviously sent all those other invitations in webinars. Now you can also add another team member from inside this menu. There's also this add-ons tab. Now, as I mentioned before, there's a whole bunch of free add-ons. Some of them are paid. To find them, you click on this Find Add-ons button. It'll take you to a different page. Now, one commonly used add-on for psychologists, I notice many of you are psychologists, you might want to configure your consent form. So on the professional plan, it's free. You can do that. On the starter plan, it's additional $5 per month. And once you've installed that add-on, you can just click configure. When you're on a starter plan, you might just want to add the add-ons and then decide if you like them or not. You can, the other tab that's relevant here is your client payments tab. And you click on this. This is where you set up your Stripe integration. So I set this up like 2 weeks ago. It took me like 5 to 10 minutes. And then it just means that if I took a payment within a call, I'd receive that fund within a very short period of time. As I mentioned, we're going to have the features, the ability to book a call, to bill Medicare directly within the call, but obviously you can call payments at the moment just to bill clients. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Any questions or comments or anything? I'll just reset that poll. So one question is from Bernadette Tanner. She says, looking to use group supervision as well as one-on-one therapy clients. Looks like starter plan doesn't suit that. So yeah, great point, Bernadette. I should have mentioned this. So the starter plan only includes one-on-one sessions. The professional plan includes up to 4 users. The clinic plan includes up to 6. Now, it depends on what you mean by group sessions, but the trade-off with encryption is that it's very hard to have very large groups while something is highly encrypted. So this is why Zoom can't manage to be super encrypted, have end-to-end encryption. It's because they won't be able to have many people on the call. I won't go into why that is. But yeah, as long as if you've got if group supervision is just a couple of people, then Coviu can certainly do that, but not the starter plan. Matthew says, are you able to make a comment regarding HIPAA compliance and Coviu? Yeah, so Coviu is compliant to all the Australian regulatory standards. We tick all those boxes. We've had a lot of interest from the US, and so we're in the process of translating our Australian compliance to HIPAA compliance, and which is just actually a matter of doing all the paperwork, because we already have those quality management systems in place for the Australian compliance. We expect to be HIPAA compliant within the next month, as in within a month, because we've just had so much demand from the US. Katina says, Peter, is the link to invite a client the same for every subsequent session? Exactly right. So in the starter plan, when you're just doing it based off, and all the invites are based off your room, then that's exactly right. Only when you're doing more complex booking scheduling do you start having different links. Sarah says, I've had a lot of problems using my iPad. Any tips? My only tip is to use the latest version of Chrome, I believe. I'm not an iPad user, so I haven't had that much experience. We have been having some issues with iPad over the last 2 weeks that we haven't been able to pin down. We're working with Apple on that. So it might not be just you, actually. If you're getting stuck with an iPad, chat to us on live support, and we'll be able to help troubleshoot those problems. Any more questions, guys? If not, so I'm going to send a follow-up email in the next couple of hours with a link to a Managing Your Appointments webinar, which will cover off the booking and scheduling and PMS integrations. We will include those discount codes. What else? Include the some tips for how to get started, some more guidance. And yeah, I think that's it. We'll keep you guys up to date about these new integrations that we've got coming out via email. We also have a monthly newsletter which will tell you about any sort of less exciting product updates. I hope you guys enjoy using Coviu as much as I have over the last 4 years, and wish you the best of luck. Thank you.